Bob Marley once replied to someone asking if he was rich by saying that possessions do not make a man wealthy. His words echoed long after his death, and for over 40 years rumors began to swirl about hidden truths inside his family. Whispers about unclaimed children, DNA tests, and lies that stretched through generations grew louder, and eventually one of his sons spoke about secrets that had been guarded for decades. That revelation led to the story of Fabian Marley, a man who believed he was Bob's eldest son until science later proved otherwise. This twist in the family history became another chapter in the life of an artist whose story was already extraordinary, rooted in poverty, music, spirituality, and global influence. Marley was born on February 6, 1945 in 9 Miles, St. Anne, Jamaica. His mother, Cedella, was just 18, while his father, Norval, was an older white man who appeared and disappeared from their lives unpredictably. Bob spent his earliest years on his grandfather Omaria Malcolm's farm, surrounded by hills, folklore, and the earthy rhythm of rural life. Those childhood proverbs and stories soaked into him and later surfaced in lyrics that felt ancient and wise. 9 Miles shaped him deeply, and when he died in 1981, thousands stood along the roads to watch his body return to the place that raised him. His father took him to Kingston when Bob was 5, leaving him with a caretaker where he missed school and his mother. Cedella eventually brought him home, but the emotional wound stayed. Themes of distance, abandonment, and longing appeared later in his music. His grandfather was a respected healer who used herbs and roots, and Bob watched how people trusted him. That sense of spiritual authority became part of Bob's own presence. Villagers said he could read palms, that his gaze was steady and older than his years. As a teenager, Bob moved to Kingston again, this time to Trench Town, a rough government yard built over a sewage trench. Life there was crowded and loud. Fights and music existed side by side. He toughened quickly and earned the nickname Tough Gong. He worked briefly as a welder until a piece of steel pierced his eye and forced him to give up the trade. The injury pushed him fully toward music. He began singing with Neville Bunny, Livingston, and Peter Tosh, practicing on steps and street corners while radios blasted American R&B. They trained with Joe Higgs, who taught them harmony and breath control. Bob recorded his first singles Judge Not and One Cup of Coffee in 1962, though neither became hits. The real breakthrough came in 1963 when he and his friends formed the Wailers, and their song Simmer Down topped the Jamaican charts the next year. Overnight they went from unknown youths to voices speaking to Kingston's troubled streets. In 1966 Bob married Rita Anderson. Soon after, he moved briefly to Delaware for factory work before returning to Jamaica, where he became deeply influenced by Rastafarian teachings. Over time he adopted dreadlocks, practiced Ital living, and used marijuana as a spiritual tool. His partnership with producer Lee Scratch Perry in 1970 transformed the Wailers' sound into a deeper, rawer style that shaped reggae's future. Success grew but tensions followed. Peter Tosh and Bunny Wailer eventually left the group, feeling overshadowed as Bob became its central figure. Still, the music flourished. With Island Records support, he released Catch a Fire in 1973, blending reggae with rock elements to reach a wider audience. Concerts followed, including 2 sold-out nights in London in 1975 and global tours that introduced reggae to the world. When Eric Clapton covered I Shot the Sheriff, and it hit #1 in the US, Bob earned large publishing royalties that helped solidify his financial independence. Fame, however, did not bring peace. Jamaica was torn by political violence, and both parties wanted Marley on their side. In December 1976, gunmen stormed his home and shot him, Rita, and others during rehearsal. 2 days later, still bandaged, he walked on stage at the Smile Jamaica concert and performed for tens of thousands. Soon after, he fled to London and recorded Exodus, an album that would later be called the album of the century. Songs like Jamming and One Love spread worldwide, and reggae became a global force. In 1977, a football injury revealed melanoma under Bob's toenail. Doctors advised amputation, but due to religious beliefs he refused. They removed the nail and surrounding tissue instead, but the cancer later spread. Even while ill, he continued to release music. Kaya arrived in 1978, softer and more romantic, even as his personal life grew complicated. By then Bob had fathered children with multiple women. 11 were publicly acknowledged, though stories of more continued to circulate. Rita endured his infidelity while still performing by his side with the I3s. As his health quietly worsened, Marley performed at liberation events, including Zimbabwe's independence ceremony in 1980, paying the band's travel costs himself. Tear gas filled the stadium, chaos erupted, but he returned on stage and played again. It was an act of dedication that defined him. Later that year he collapsed while jogging in New York. What followed was treatment in Germany that brought little improvement. His final concert was in Pittsburgh on September 23, 1980. By May 1981, cancer had reached his brain, lungs, and liver. He tried to return to Jamaica, but his condition worsened mid-flight and he was taken to a hospital in Miami. On May 11, 1981, at just 36 years old, Bob Marley died. His final words to his son Ziggy were, "Money can't buy life." After his death, the music only grew bigger. Uprising had already given the world Redemption Song. Then in 1984, the compilation Legend was released, becoming the best-selling reggae album of all time with more than 10 million U.S. sales. Even in the 2020s, his estate remained among the highest-earning of deceased celebrities, valued at over $100 million and generating millions annually. Then came the controversy of Fabian Marley. For years he claimed he was Bob's firstborn, supported by rumors that more children existed. In 2015, he took a DNA test comparing his genetics with known Marley sons Stephen, Rohan, and Robert. The results showed zero relation. Another test confirmed with near certainty that his biological father was the man who raised him. The Marley estate demanded he stop using the name, leaving Fabian to rebuild his identity after living decades believing he shared Bob's blood. Even decades after Marley's short but powerful life, his legacy continued to shape families, nations, and strangers who found meaning in his voice. He rose from rural Jamaica to global icon, carried music that spoke of poverty, justice, and unity, and continued to earn devotion long after his body returned to 9 Miles. His story lives on in songs, in the children who bear his name, and even in those who once believed they did. Possessions never defined him. What he left behind was far greater. Music, message, and a spirit the world still follows.